We're gonna do thanks for getting the chairs, guys. We're gonna do the Darwin talk now, which is, you're probably better at describing this than I am, Barry. But I think the Darwin talk is like a hybrid ignite. I mean, you should probably describe. I'll get it set up. Why are you giving it to me?
So, Evolve Law has a Darwin theme, and so we came up with the idea of Darwin Talks. The notion behind it is to be a little bit provocative. So, for example, in New York, we did a panel called Big Data in the Law. So we had 5 people come up and talk about big data, and then Jules, my co-founder, got up and talked about how there's no such thing as big data in the law, it's medium data. So the idea is that we do something that's a little bit in your face, and that kicks off our networking afterwards.
There you go, see? And the individual giving our Darwin talk tonight is a law student, and I just keep singing his praises, so I hope I don't embarrass him too much, but like, you want to talk about like online, offline. Miguel has just totally inserted himself into the legal technology community in this city, and is now organizing a social justice hackathon, which to my knowledge is probably the first. I know it's the first in Seattle, and one of the first in the country, and he's a 2L. So that's just awesome in and of itself. So he's going to come out and tell you why you should come to the hackathon, I think, and everything he's going to do with it. So turn time over to him.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much. How you guys doing this evening?
Good.
Good. That was a great presentation on social media. My name is Miguel Willis, second year law student at Seattle University School of Law. I'm also the organizer of the Social Justice Hackathon, which I'll tell you more about after the presentation. Tonight's talk is titled Tech's Peculiar Relationship with Legal Access. Just give a little intro about just technology in the legal industry in general. I mean, we all know it, we all see it. Technology has revolutionized and spurred the catalyst for innovation for the legal industry. Over $254 million were invested in legal tech startups and companies in 2014. There are legal hackers meetup groups, like the one that co-organized this event. There are legal hackathons, and there's almost over 1,000 legal startups and companies, according to AngelList. There's a big legal tech ecosystem in place. And a lot of the players in the ecosystem in Seattle are here tonight. It's clearly evident that we're at the headquarters of a legal marketing company for a social media for lawyers event. That says it all. The span of legal technology. And legal technology has innovated almost every aspect of the legal industry in terms of delivery of services, marketplace, document production, social media, marketing, blogs, Kevin O'Keefe. So what about access? What about technology and access? I mean, one would assume that if technology's hand was able to innovate and change almost every aspect of the legal industry, would technology increase legal access to individuals? Well, if you do a quick Google search of technology access, well, these happy articles will definitely come up. Meet the startups that are giving everyone affordable access to justice. The startups that give access to justice are already here. And will computers become better lawyers? So we can see that is not painting the most accurate picture of what's happening on the ground. We all know these numbers. 80% of the poor, 2/3 of the middle class legal needs are going unmet. 50% of eligible individuals that are able to get legal assistance are being turned away because of capacity. Just last week, good friend, Greg McLaughlin, tagged me in this article on Twitter about the civil legal needs study that just came out last Thursday that says in the last 10 years, Washington's civil legal needs have tripled. So what happened? Why aren't we able to solve this bottleneck problem of access to individuals when we have this technology around? Just for a little historical context, 2008, 2009, the same time when the legal industry spurred, during the recession and during the housing crisis, that time was the time when the legal industry had to improve, had to innovate because of the pressure to drive down costs, because of the cut in jobs. And during that same time, a lot of poor and middle class individuals, their legal needs exacerbated because of the subprime mortgage crisis and because of the recession as well. So you have an industry that's vastly innovating and a large group of individuals who has more legal problems than ever. So who are the providers of tech access? The main providers are the Legal Services Corporation. This is a quasi-governmental agency that provides grants to legal service aid providers across the country. One of their big grants is the Technology Innovative Grants. And they, in the last 15 years, awarded $46 million to 570 projects, $4 million this year, and the Pro Bono Innovation Fund, which has only been around for 2 years, but has awarded, $7 million. So you can already see the disparity in funds for just legal access, for tech legal access, and the legal industry as a whole is very disproportionate. And here's the implementation. So tech is integrated into legal access through online portals, document assembly, and mobile. One of the big things they have, you can go on a legal portal almost in every state, and you can search for law services, search for information about the law. This is supposed to be a self-help tool or a resource that you can find legal services. So what is technology's legal access problem? First, there's a lot of assumptions. Technology is not a solution, but only a part of a solution. And how they implement it with legal portals, they assume that every user's legal needs and every user are the same people. And let me explain what that means. That means if I wanted legal representation, I probably don't need a self-help website. And so how do you get me to that representation quicker? A lot of the tech products that are created right now aren't user-centered. They're not designed for a targeted user. When you talk about 80% of the poor, when you talk about the middle class, they probably don't have the highest education. So there's probably a digital divide, or there probably is the technology currently in place is probably not as accessible as one may think. And what are the barriers? I mean, we all work, most of us in here are lawyers, so we use legalese. This information, these words aren't easily accessible to a lay user or a layman. And again, we do have that digital divide. So 80% of the poor's legal needs aren't being met. Well, 20 million Americans don't have access to internet, or don't have that easy accessible internet in their homes. And bad business processes and analysis. So with all legal tech companies, You know, they go through this very iterative process of continuing innovation, continuing, you know, making their products better for their customers. A very solid approach to kind of building better products for your user. Well, the legal service aid companies, they only get this grants to build these sites, to build these products, but there's not a lot of changes to these models that kind of focus directly on the user. Therefore, and there's not a lot of empirical studies to show how effective a lot of these self-portals are. There's very few empirical studies to show how effective they are. So what's the solution? Again, I said tech is only a portion of the solution to solve the access problem. We need to design great products for a segment of the population that may not know how to effectively run a Google search like you or I may, that may not know how to go on Washington Help, the portal site, and look for the specific type of law that they're trying to find and the necessary resources. So making that design optimal for the user, so they'll want to use this, and they'll know if they have a legal problem or if they can find a solution to get it, and just making the law more simple, creating content that doesn't is not convoluting and doesn't confuse a user. And I think one of the biggest things that we need to do to better serve individuals is find out where the user is on his legal journey. I think that's the starting point. Is that, you know, does an individual need full representation? Well, probably yeah, in a complex matter. But for most routine matters, they can probably be self-helped. Or if an individual needs a push, he can probably go to a pro se clinic and have an individual help him learn how to help himself. Or he can possibly go to a legal clinic and get the assistance that he needs at a law school. So it's kind of first finding out where that user's legal journey, where they are in that path, and then kind of triaging to that specific area so they can better help themselves, instead of everyone running to the legal clinic and being told they have to leave because there's just too much demand and not enough supply. So how do we make this? How do we make this happen so where we can get tech to work and actually expand access? Well, we can model it after what we have with like the legal, just like the legal tech industry, where there's a big ecosystem. So in the legal industry, you know, you have your legal meetups groups, you have your hackers, you have your businesses, you have a lot of individuals serving a lot of different needs. We need to have a very coordinated effort to solve the access problem. That starts with law schools and legal education. There's several very innovative programs across the country. Codex out of Stanford, they do almost like an accelerator type of thing where they're, you know, kind of maturing companies to solve this problem using tech, using innovation. KJET is out of, I want to say Chicago, Kent. Law Without Walls in Miami. Just very innovative programs at taking different approaches to solve the problem, I think will be necessary starting at the law school level. And just a lot of collaboration with legal education, the legal aid organizations in the city, with innovative projects. Legal tech companies, yes, you do have a stake in this as well. I think while creating the most optimal user that knows how to, you know, use services, find legal aid, will eventually create more customers for you on the back end. And then, you know, working with federal and local governments. What Mike Zuckerberg did was create what we have the organization's name is basically a tech advocacy clinic where they advocate for tech workers' rights, you know, to promote innovation and promote comprehensive immigration reform. Why can't the tech, you know, legal tech companies promote access issues to Congress to raise these funds, to get more money to tech programs or innovative programs that will work and actually solve these problems? Private attorneys as well. When you talk about, you know, giving your pro bono hours, of course you all want to do it more effectively. So how can we do it as effective as possible? Is getting the right pro bono attorneys or getting the right attorneys to serve the right people's needs. So having you know, innovative things in the works, so where we can get people to the right person to solve their needs. And you know, legal tech advocacy, I just said that. But it really takes all of these actors on this list working in cohesion, working together, and you know, just a very serious and collaborated approach to solving this issue. So why act now? I think it's clearly evident from the study that was just published last week. If we don't act now, this gap will only increase. You have a chance to do something really great here. And I mean really great. Help those in need with legal services, or help those help themselves by providing the correct information or directing them to the right process to help their legal problem. And again, it will complement the legal tech industry's growth, and you know, use technology to its ultimate potential. There's a lot of things I didn't say, you know, which is like, you know, things against the bar, UPL, unbundled services, a lot of these buzzwords things. But you know, again, you know, those are you know, other fights. I think we do have technology here, and we need to make it work. I think it's almost very inefficient to have this money going towards technology if the users aren't going to use that technology, or it's not going to, or we can't even, you know, have a comprehensible way of seeing if this thing works for people. So it's to our best benefit that we make it work. And thank you. That is my topic. So if you guys have any questions. Okay, no questions? Okay, one question right here.
So one question, you mentioned the federal government, and I think the idea of getting them involved is a really good idea because they have the ability to kind of streamline services people. I'm curious though, have you thought about just how to handle the reticence that the government deals with? Like I've worked for state governments and federal governments that still use WordPerfect, so when it comes to technology, they're really struggling to get up there.
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you take that model, what's going on?
You got a big voice.
I can still hear you. It's okay.
Okay, so if you take that model and look at something like Startup Seattle. Startup Seattle is it's a website, it's a portal for people that want to start a startup or tech startup. This thing, you know, you go on the site, very user-friendly. I can find out all the information that I need. There's a heat map, for God's sakes, of every startup event that's happening tonight. You know, this is, you know, I don't have to have any knowledge coming into it, and it directs me to where I need to go within the startup community. Why can't there be a tool like that with law? You know, and in terms of, I can find out what I need, I get the information that I need, and I'm readily able to act on it. Instead of going to a legal portal where there's just a bunch of words, and it's very, very hard to navigate. I think it's Seattle, the city of Seattle runs that site. So I mean, we have the capability necessary to solve this problem. It's just putting the right people in place with the right type of solutions. That answers the question.
Yeah, I think just to echo that point is, I think one of the main impediments is just the under-investment in the infrastructure on the capability of government to interact with you in a technological way. So, for example, if I go to TurboTax and kind of go to file my taxes, that's a relatively seamless experience because IRS is set up. But we're living in an age where there are courts that are not online. I
Yeah.
deal with legal research and I send runners to go make copies of documents because the court itself can't even get 1990s technology of scanning document and putting it online. So the idea of actually interacting in a meaningful way with people, I think it's just hampered by and there's so many, every court kind of decides what its own technological infrastructure is going to look like. So your municipal, state, appellate, federal courts are all on different systems.
Yeah, definitely. We do have those jurisdictional divides. And, just like with the technology innovative grants, not everyone has received them. So we're still young on this. The innovative grants are only 2 years old, but I think a very collaborative approach, both private and public, is a way. I feel like there's, just big pushback from the traditional legalists of tech and, the legal tech industry. These people will come and take advantage of individuals. They'll kind of just throw all their marketing at them and just take their money. Where, if the legal tech industry, shows more care to this problem, I think that could be a solution. Working with schools, providing internships to people, or money to individuals that want to solve these problems, I think is probably a good way or innovative approach.
First, I don't think that just because like the courts are slower doesn't mean like these people in disadvantaged communities should not have access. But do these people who want help, is there a portal for them to go and access that, and then like everyone in the community can go there, or to help in this legal action of pro bono, or?
Yeah, so the portal is called Washington Law Help Now, and I checked out the website today. I was going to just put it up and show you the kind of differences, but it's it's very wordy. It kind of basically goes to the substance of the law. Like if you need a housing or you need something involving a criminal, it has all these different sections, so you can go to that as a starting point. But I don't even, as a user, from a user experience, how do you even know where I'm at? What if I just want, what if, something just happened? And who can I call? Who can I, so it's kind of increasing that user experience from a user-centered experience to make the product most optimal and help more people. Because if we're able to triage individuals better, we're able to kind of decrease the amount of people that are going face-to-face in legal clinics. And they're able to help more people that need the help. And the people that actually need face-to-face representation are able to get that face-to-face, and the people that can be self-helped will be self-helped. Okay, that's probably it. But before I'm done, I'll have my co-organizer, Daniel Sandoval, come up, and we would like to share an event that we are hosting that kind of goes